the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt. The hunting journey continues. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've been a bit crook lately, but apologies, the voice is a bit bad, but had a bit of a run-in with COVID for, I don't know, the fourth or fifth damn time. I just seem to be a magnet for it. But anyways, so tonight we're going to be talking about salami with the great man, Frank's back, or the Salami King, as I call him. But before we get into it with him, I had a bit of a salami-shaped object, had a bit of a run-in. So my little fella, or oldest, is 3, and I had him in the bath with me the other night. His face went a bit sort of like a concentration face, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on here? This doesn't look good."
Right.
And then, I'm like, "Oh, did he just do a turd?" So I've sort of leant him over, like looking in there. I'm looking in the water, and I couldn't see anything. And there's a bit of a smell, so I was like, "Oh, maybe he just farted, right?" And so I'm looking around, and little did I know there was a little turd torpedo that was sneaking up underneath my knee. And so I'm sitting there with him, going, "Geez, this is lingering, this smell." And then, the old, missile coming out of a submarine, it's hit me in the back of my leg. I've gone, "What the hell's that?" So I've done a bit of investigation to sort of look, and we found it. Oh my God! I think my toddler thought that I did it. He got scared, freaked out, trying to climb out. It was like, when you see like a rat or something in a piece of water trying to like just crazily get out of it. He was doing those ones till I got him out, and then he was just mortified. Yeah, well, what a start.
Code brown, mate. That's no good.
Oh, mate, it was never happened to me before, and we were joking about it the other week, my wife and I, because I was like, it is the preferred method of the little ones hate the shower, so the bath is a really good option.
Yeah, right.
And I was joking around going, it's really easy for me to be in there with, do one of them, have the other one sitting in there as well, and we can get rid of the twins. And
yep.
It just makes time go much quicker. And the wife was joking, going, "Oh, it's only a matter of time before it happens." And I've like,
it's just a passage of parentship, mate. That's all it is.
It wasn't that big a deal until it hit me. And that's where I really had issues when it harpooned me there. I was a bit like, Jesus Christ! But maybe I now know what an animal feels like when they cop an arrow when it's from someone bow hunting.
That's when they turn around and see the fletchers hanging out the side. What's the go with that? What was the extraction like, Matt?
It started actually. I'll tell you what, it was firm. So it was quite the solid log. So it wasn't actually too bad at getting it out of the thing. So I went and got the plastic glove, got the handle on it. As I'm grabbing it to throw it down the toilet, luckily the toilet's like next to the bath. My kid's screaming at me. And then, the worst part I think out of the whole experience was he's there and he's going, "Daddy, yucky poo bathtub." I said, "Beg pardon?" "It was yours, bro. Don't start running around telling people that it was me." I think he actually thought it came out of me, but anyway. But got done, got cleaned up, and luckily he was the last one to be washed. So we got everybody done, and definitely straight to the shower. So good fun,
wow.
Good start.
Wow. Well,
I know.
Yeah, what a segue. What a segue.
There was a rough sort of cylindrical object like a salami. I thought, what a perfect way to get into what you've been up to, mate.
Wow.
It can only go up from here though, Frank. That's the good thing.
Yeah, well, we can only hope. People have turned on their radio to listen to this and they've gone, "Wow, what's going on?"
Listeners, if we've still got you, it gets better.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's try.
So, mate, talk to me. You, for our listeners, you ran a bit of a salami course, teaching a few boys how to make salami, and I was lucky enough that you brought some over for me to teach me how to hang them. So I want to hear more about it because it's I think a great tradition that, I'm not probably of the right ethnic background to know how to make salami, and yourself, as I said, the Salami King. So let's talk. What do we need to know?
The Salami King. Wow. Well, it didn't start out like a course. to make salami, to tell you the truth. It was just one of the guys from the hunting club was just talking to me one day about making salami and stuff like that. And I said, well, next time I make salami, I'll let you know. We can do it together, and I'll show you how to do it, and you can come down, and life will be great. And then he got talking to a couple of other guys from the hunting club because they had an excess of a deer at the time, and said, geez, it'd be great if we could learn how to make salami. And then they said this around the campfire, and to which my mate said, yes, actually, Frank is going to teach me how to make salami next year. Why don't I ask him if we all do it together? So it ended up being a day just out there, and we made pork salami, and we also made some venison salami too. One of the guys was very lucky and had an excessive amount of venison, so we turned that into some salami as well. And that's still drying at the moment, but the pork one is finished, and that come out pretty good, if I do say so myself. I'm pretty biased, but you may or may not concur with that.
Mate, yours was fantastic. I gave a few different people a bit of a taste test of it because it's it is quality. The flavour is sensational. Yeah, geez, it was good. Like everyone I've given some to just went, wow, that's bloody great. So no, mate, well done.
I'm glad to hear that. They have plenty of heat in it. Did you enjoy that?
Mate, I did. I'm a fan of it. I would have liked down the track, if you teach me, I'd like to do an even amount of both, because I had more of the hot stuff, and there's sometimes it goes good, and sometimes it's not the time for it. Like just before bed, like sometimes I like to have a bit of a, cheese and salami with a wine before bed. And when you're hitting the hot stuff, the old acid reflux kicks in on that one. So
the hot stuff's really good if you're having a nice afternoon, and maybe a Sunday arvo with your cheese and some beer.
Agreed. And I've done that a couple of times, and that that perfect.
Oh, good. I'm glad it all balanced out. That's really good. It's a very odd recipe, that. But yeah, it was great fun. All the boys were there, and I must say shout out to Campese's Butchers at Gledswood Hills, absolute champions down there. I rang them up, told them what I was doing. They even bagged the pork mince for me with the right amount of fat, and then even the salt as well. They chucked the salt in for us. They had all the ingredients that we needed. And when it comes to actually doing on the day, it went so smoothly. It was just, shout out to them. It was bloody awesome. Yeah, all the boys, they asked me heaps of questions. I enjoyed showing them how to do it, and was, trying to show them how I was taught. Like I was taught at a very young age how to make salamis, and it's just another rite of passage, I suppose you'd say, for me and my family. So yeah, it was great to be able to pass it on to other people, and for them just to absorb that, and them trying their own salamis that they made and sharing it with their friends. That's what it's all about for me. It's just, them learning a new skill and then passing it on and passing it out to everyone and showing off what they've done. I couldn't feel any more humble than
man. I enjoyed just the hanging part. Like I didn't get to do the mixing and putting it all together, but it was pretty cool. You came round, it had a few that had already been made, and we'll get into it and we'll talk about how when they're ready in a moment. But just being able to hang it, finding a spot for it, right conditions that you sort of want. I reckon we unpack a little bit and sort of go step by step, and what the ingredients were, and how you. I know there was a couple of things you've explained to me, talking that what type of fat was really important going into it, and even the skins being salted and things like that. So what are all those different things, and what are the way you like to do it?
Yeah, we'll try to compress that right down, because I know that this could be a very, very long podcast if we go through right down to the weeds on it. But ultimately, we got the pre-salted skins, which are actually natural intestines, pork intestines. We got them from Campese too. That was fantastic. And then there's your pork mince, which is usually made from pork shoulder, and sometimes they'll add a bit of fat from the back, so back fat, which is a real nice soft fat that when you push it between your fingers, it just turns into pretty much the same consistency as toothpaste. Very good, very easy to digest, and it creates a real base in your mouth for it to coat your tongue and everything like that. So when the chili does hit, it doesn't hit as hard, I suppose, and it does, yeah. Anyway, it helps it go down a little more easier. And then so after that, then you've got your spices like your chili, your cracked pepper, and your salt. So salt's very important. I usually use a 3% ratio. So for 5 kilos of mince, we used 150 grams of salt. Some people use a little bit more. Some people use less, but I wouldn't recommend it. I find that 3% gives you really good taste and also stops the growth of any bacteria and stuff like that inside the sausage, helps it ferment a little bit more better too, I believe, with that 3%. Some people recommend 3.3. A lot of people throw in 3.3, but it's just, that's just getting to the nitty gritty once again, sorry. So, yeah, so 3% salt, a paprika sauce, I suppose you'd say. So it's smoked capsicums turned into a sauce that you can add to the mixture. So we had some of that. Sometimes people add fennel seeds. We didn't add fennel seeds to our one. I'm pretty sure that was it. Sorry, Matt.
I will say about the fat is that, geez, it was soft. Like I've had a lot of salami that
good.
you sort of, sometimes it's a real hard to bite into, especially if it's been in the fridge. And even though with the salami in the fridge, pull it out, cut through it, chew away, and it was great. It was very well done. So that back fat worked an absolute treat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and sorry, I forgot. And we also added a cup of wine to that 5 kilo mixture of meat.
Red wine, I'm guessing.
Red wine, yep, of course, red wine. But you can use whatever wine you want. You can use a dry white. You can use a rich red. You can use port if you like. But we just use a Lambrusco red wine. So it tastes fantastic. Yeah. But I'm pretty.
That was very good. So when you mix it all up, so we've got all the ingredients there. They've given you everything to put together. How big are the batches? Because you said you did some massive amount, like 48 kilos or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we did. I think it was 9 of us at 5 kilos each, and then we did another 10 kilos of venison salami as well. So yeah, 55 kilos altogether. But you want to mix up, and 5 kilo batches is fine. I don't want to say back in my day because I'm not old, but back when I was taught how to do it, it was actually a rather large table, timber tables put out, and then salami mince was put down onto the table at about, say, 2 inches thick. So you imagine a huge 10-foot, 12-foot long table by 4 foot wide, and all that mince laid on there perfectly, and then that's when all the spices were laid on there, and then everyone would go around the table and all mix it by hand. That's how it used to be, but mix yourself up a 5 kilo batch. It's a manageable amount, and it's to start you off. It's a good amount to start you off with, and then once you get the next year and the next year and the next year and so forth, you'll get bigger and bigger and bigger because everyone will want to come over and they want to make more salami, and that's how it ends up being a big 12-foot by 4-foot table.
All right, so you've mixed everything up. You've used the 3% salt ratio. Where next? So you're putting the skins on. Do you have when you're mixing it? The mixing's all done by hand. Are you then using like a sausage stuffer? How do you go about the next process once that meat's sort of all together, ready to go?
Yeah. So when you mix it up by hand, eventually you'll start to feel the mixture, and you'll see these long little tails start to come out, start to expose themselves, and that's the fat starting to melt a little bit, and that becomes real sticky, and that there is perfect for you to grab it and then put into the sausage stuffer. The skins come pre-salted, so you've got to put them in warm water and wash them out. Once you've washed them out and they've stayed in the solution for a little bit, you can take them out, put them on top of the stuffer. Then you can start cranking them out. What you want to make sure is you want consistency with your length, and like here we go. There's plenty of innuendo when you make salami, but the girth of the salami is already preset by the size of the skin, and you pretty much want something that's say between 6 inches to 7 inches is probably the right length to have it at. And then you can tie off the end when you get that length, cut that off, and then that you leave a little bit of string so that way you can hang it up later on. And that is pretty much your salami ready to go. Then from that, you can let it ferment for a day without hanging it, if you like, in a fridge or something like that. But I just hang up straight away usually, and you put them in a nice ventilated area. But yeah, that's you pretty much push out that sausage, tie it off at both ends, cut your excess, and then I'll leave it hanging that long. That's the way I was taught to do it. That's the way I usually do it.
So you've stuffed it. You've got your 6-7 inch length of salami. It's ready to go. Then I noticed you weighed it, and so you had the twine that you were using. Tell us a bit more about that, because you said it wasn't just string, it was waxed or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's waxed. It's waxed cotton.
Why is that?
It is. The reason why it's waxed cotton is so it doesn't harbor any bacteria, and that's what you don't want, because that's where you get your black mold from. But we'll talk about that a little bit down the track. But yeah, it's pretty much a wax string, so that way it's a protective string, and then it won't harbor any bacteria to then affect the salami at all when it's drying.
And around that, you had a bit of tape with the weights. Now, that's super important for later, but we won't explain why yet. We'll say that you weigh it.
You weigh it, and then write the much it weighs, and then on the back you can put like what type. So I put C3 or C2 for the amount of chili scoops in there. And it's just so the boys knew next year if they want to have 4 chili scoops or 1 chili scoop or 2 chili scoops, or what they want next year. So we just made a batch of a couple of different types, and we shared them out so that way the boys know what they're going to do next year. Yeah,
and that's a good idea, because then, as I was saying before, there was the 3 was really probably not on. Look, it was on the hot end for me. I do like chili, but then in a salami, I'm not a massive fan. Like, I'll load myself up with actual chili for different cooking dishes and things like that. But when it comes to salami, I sometimes like a little bit more mild, depending on the situation or scenario too. So that was really interesting to see that C2, C3. And then when you're eating it, you could definitely tell the difference. And that makes sense, the 2 scoops per 5 kilos, because I was trying to work out how that was sort of playing out as to how much per, the scoop per watt. So that makes...
Yeah, well, those scoops were only a tablespoon.
Yeah, wow.
In a 5 kilo
And that's got some heat to it. So I gave it to a couple of the girls at work.
Yeah.
One of them were like, whoa, this is hot. So
yeah,
that's crazy. When I was thinking scoops, I was thinking, that's probably like maybe like not a cup, but like, a decent amount.
No. It literally is just a tablespoon. That's the only difference between a 3 and a 2, just 1 tablespoon. So it's quite imperative that you get the mixture just right, and then you make sure you mix it to within a 10th degree to make sure that it's got the proper consistency and all that seasoning has gone through that meat perfectly.
All right. So we've done that. We've weighed them. They've wrapped up. They're ready to go. Now we're hanging them. You came over and said, hey, my garage was the perfect environment. And we had, I had a bit of concerns because I said, I've got some rats that like to get around the garage and the shed. So I got a bit MacGyverish, and we got some pretty heavy fishing line, and was able to string that up in the off the roller door, the garage roller door area, so that the rats couldn't get along it. So that was something for me, which I am a member of a couple of the Facebook groups on, the Australian cured meat and things like that. And I see it a lot. That they'll post something with holes out of the salami, and people are going, oh, rats or mice. So the fishing line was a good compromise. We spoke about that, saying, that they won't be able to walk along the fishing line.
That's correct. Yeah, they won't. They'll get to the edge of the walls. They'll try to get on top of it, but they won't actually commit to it. The only way that's going to go awry is if they actually chew through the fishing line and drop them all.
Yeah, we didn't have that issue. But mind you, I think it was like 50 kilo. Or something, like it was heavy as hell.
Yeah, it was heavy long.
So for them to chomp through, they probably could, to be honest. They got pretty sharp bloody teeth. I've been bitten by a rat before, and it's not fun. So so we've got that done. So we've hung them all up, and there was quite a few hanging along, and it actually worked out quite well, because I was worried about the fishing line dipping and them all coming in together, because you said you don't want them touching, because you want the air to get
No,
around
that's right.
each.
You want the air to be circulating around
Yeah,
them. Yeah,
so we
spot
were
on,
able to
spot
do
on.
that and keep it that way. So I was a little shocked. So we put them up, we left them,
Yep.
and it was nice and cold out there, bit of airflow. So they cured super quick.
They did. They actually cured a lot quicker than I was supposed to. I'll be honest with you.
Because 2 weeks?
Yeah, yeah. It was only about 2 weeks. The relative humidity has a lot to do with it. And what you'll find is if you don't have any rain, you don't get any humidity through there. What happens is it dries out the skin, and you get something called case hardening. And to alleviate that case hardening, you would just top and bottom the salamis. I take the top and bottom off, peel the skin off, and then put it inside the fridge for 2 weeks in a cryovac bag with a weight on it. And that will disperse the moisture throughout, and then that'll bring the moisture from the inside of the salami to the outside, and then that'll even that out, and then you'll be able to eat it after that. But what you do want is a bit of humidity around, but unfortunately that's the environment you're in. So yeah, that's what happened unfortunately this year. But in saying that, it still tasted great.
Yeah, and the other thing that shocked me a bit, as I said on those Facebook groups, is I always see the white mold and I'm covered in white mold. And
Yep.
even to the point that some people actually buy mold to put on there and then they rub it along and spread it along.
Yeah.
Now, mine had zero mold on it at all. Not white, not green,
Yep.
not black. Obviously, if it's green and black, it's going in the bin, but white protects it, and it's essentially penicillin, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. And the reason why I didn't get any mold this year is because there's no humidity in the air, pretty much. So there's not enough moisture for the actual microbes to start accumulating on the skin. And yeah, so yeah, you don't have to worry too much about that, which was good this year. But in saying that, like, people will buy the white mold and put it on the skin because once the white mold takes over, no other mold can grow in that spot. And that's why people buy the white mold. But
it's like a protective
in saying that,
sort
like,
of.
Yeah. Always, it's like you're ensuring that it does work properly. Like it's like buying a fermenting fridge or something like that. Like I have a small chuckle to myself because when you show the older generation like pictures of these fridges and people putting white mold and stuff on there, they can't help but laugh. Like the people that showed me how to make salami, they used to do this before the advent of fridges and cars. So like they would have to go to the market to go and buy salt. They'd have to organise the family and everything to come over to do the pig. And the salami was done at the very end of the whole session. Like there would be so much stuff being done before the salami. The salami was right at the very end when there was nothing else to do and they couldn't make any more sausages and they just had to preserve the last bit of meat somehow, and that's when they made salami. So it was at the very end they would make it.
It's a pretty cool story when you think about that's how salami sort of came about, was to not waste meat. And it's just interesting. And I love learning about these things that have been passed down from generation to generation. And it's such a tradition and culture. And it's just another way of not wasting parts of the animal. That's a massive win.
Yeah, well, nothing was wasted back then, Maddie. Nothing was wasted. It was all utilised, and it was not only a thing to make sure that you had plenty of meat in your stores for wintertime and everything like that, but it was also a community building exercise. Like you would have, such and such got married to this guy, and then so he would come over and he would help you do salami, and then such and such's friend would come over, and it was just a gathering and just a good time to sit down and break bread together and do something for the greater good. And then by the end of it, everyone had food, and who doesn't like a good feed at the end of the day? So it was, it's a win-win for everyone, and that is what pretty much brought communities together back then.
Yeah, that's cool.
It wasn't any social media that we have here. It was all pretty much word of mouth of such and such is doing a pig for salami, or such and such is doing a pig to do all the meats or anything, and then people go, oh, cool, I'll come and give you a hand. And then that person might leave with some salami or some sausages or some stuff to make other small goods.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah,
that's cool.
That's how it was done.
We've hung it. It dried really quick, as we said, or cured, I should say.
Yeah.
Now, you told me that I needed to go out and do some tests on it regularly, every couple of days. And I'll get you to explain that first.
The good old salami squeeze. So when you go out and you squeeze the salami, you'll find that. Try and explain this properly. If it's like you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste where it's hard on the outside and soft in the middle, that's when it's your case hardening. And that's when we need to do that thing. We need to go in the fridge. But if you push on it and then it rebounds back, you know that salami is now done and it's hardened inside the center, so it's cured. And from that, then we can harvest the salamis and then, take the skin off. And back in the day, they would take the skins off, top and tail them, take the skin off, and then they'd put them inside a glass jar, and then they'd fill that jar with olive oil. And they would have hot olive oil in there. They'd close it off, and then that'd be it. That'd be straight into the pantry, ready to eat over winter time with some hard bread and hopefully a couple of fried eggs.
So we did it a tad bit different. I did the testing, and I'm glad my neighbours couldn't see me there. It would have looked very creepy. But we got that done, and sort of it got to the point where it was nice and firm, and I was sitting there going, okay, I'm thinking these are getting close to being ready. So hence we go back to the number written down on the masking tape that was around the rope, and that's there because we need to work out what percentage of weight loss has occurred.
Yeah, so back in the day, they never used to weigh them, but for me teaching the guys, it was a great way of explaining to them this is what it needs to be at, and it was a surefire scientific way of them seeing a result when they weighed the salamis. Most of the older generation would just grab it and then they'll touch it. Yep, that's ready to go. Or no, it needs another week or such or so forth. Whereas you're teaching new guys here how to make salamis, you want to make sure that it does work the first time and it does come out the way it should come out. So by weighing it, as soon as it loses 30% of its weight, it's pretty much ready to go. So that's how you know it's cured. So once it loses 30 to 40% of its weight, 40% it might be a bit too hard towards the center, but 30 to 40% would be is a sweet spot. Then you can harvest it and just put in the cryovac bag if you want. If you want to do it that way with a bit of olive oil, then seal it up and put it in the fridge. But I'm hungry now. I want some salami.
Mate, it was damn good. So I went down the 40%. So I waited to hit the 40% mark and then did what you said, top and tailed, took the skin off and a little bit of olive oil, chucked it in the cryovac bag, into the fridge, gave it a week.
Yep.
Just to let it balance out.
Yep.
And geez, it was good.
Yep.
But it didn't end there because there was a couple that didn't get there. So there was one or two that were of the pork that was still not hitting that 40%.
Yep.
So I did want to try with one of them and I let it get out to 50% because I was like, I wonder what will happen here. I wonder if that will change the texture and whatnot. I haven't eaten that yet, so I can't tell you. But the venison was what you were talking about before, feeling like toothpaste.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's not ready as yet, but you'll find that they are a lot more thicker than the other salamis that we made. So they're probably about a 50 mil, 55 mil skin. And to that, we did add a lot more fat to it. We added, I think it was 33% fat to it. But in saying that, it's twice as thick, so it's going to need a lot longer to ferment and to cure. So it's going to need another. I think I did mine the other day. I think they're still about 4 weeks away, to be honest with you. So they will get there. It's a time thing, and obviously the bigger the salami, as in the rounder it is, the more time it's going to take to cure it. So
just on that, what are the different size sort of skins you can get?
Oh, you can get massive. So you can go. Usually you can get 22 mils usually your sausage, 28 to 32 mils usually your salami. Then from there you can go up to a 44, I believe, 65. There's a 90. I've seen 110 that make suppressor out of, and I think the 110 is the biggest I've seen, and they make suppressor out of that stuff. So suppressor is like a really coarse grinded salami that once they pretty much make it go case hard, and then they put it under a weight, and then that there dries out like so, in a flat position, I suppose you'd say. So it becomes long and longer than it is deep, if that makes any sense. And that's the biggest it goes at 110. But that's a lot of like trying to get the right pressure in the salami to make sure that it's full, because you don't want any air pockets in there. If there's any air pockets in the salami, then it's gonna be open to bacteria, because you've got yeast and bacteria in your general air that you're breathing in. So you don't want any air pockets inside the salami, because that pretty much you're just creating an environment for it to house that, and it does turn rancid if it's not done properly. Been saying that's another reason why you put 3% salt in it, and that's why you do put a bit of wine in there too, because it creates an environment for the bacteria not to grow.
And that was my one with the venison at the moment. So I've taken it out, cryovac it, a little bit of olive oil, put it in there into the fridge, give that a week or two, and then I'm going to rehang it. So
rehang it up, yeah,
and hopefully it'll dry out and cure a bit quicker, or a bit more anyway, and she'll be good to go too.
Yeah, that's probably the salami you do want to have the white mold on to protect it. In saying that, though, it hasn't, like, I just got a drop of rain in the past week, but before that we've had no rain, so it's just that type of year, unfortunately. It's amazing how different seasons will give you different types of salami and give you different things to combat, if that makes any sense. So if you have a year that's got like a lot of rain, high humidity, then you are going to start getting not only the white mold, but sometimes you might get a green or a black mold, in which case you need to wash down the salamis with a 50-50 white vinegar and water mixture to get rid of that. And then you just got to keep your eye on them to make sure that it doesn't grow back. But sometimes they could be too far gone. That's why you want to check on them, at least 2 or 3 times a week. You want to see what they're up to, what they're doing.
That was I enjoyed that process, to be honest, because getting up there to check on them, see how they're progressing, give them the feel and see the changing.
Yeah.
The whole process was really interesting to me. I found it thoroughly enjoyable just to see what was happening. It was like a little experiment that I got to eat at the end. So,
it's anticipation. It's like watching tomatoes grow on trees and watching them go red. That's what it's all about. It's just anticipation of can't wait to eat this, and it was good. And so you shared it with your friends and family. They all enjoyed it, obviously.
Mate, everyone's loved it. So credit to you and the recipe, because I haven't had anyone go, that's not enjoyable, but to the point most people have said, geez, that's so much better than what I bought in the shops. So that's been really good to do that. And I've got plenty left because I'm waiting for you to come round and we can have that over a wine as well.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. And
a nice cheese.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bring some cheese up. Don't worry, there's plenty of cheese around here. I'll bring some up.
Yeah, nice. I'm looking forward to it. But it was really good. And, the wife, it was pretty funny. She'd hassle me a fair bit about it, because I keep ducking up there to check it and giving me a bit of grief over it. And
in the garage playing the salami, that's no good, mate. That's no good at all.
Then it got even worse that that you had to supply me the salami. I can't do it myself. So no, she's had a thoroughly good time with it all. So no, I appreciate that.
Should be more. That's good. That's really good. Good on you, Nat. Well done.
Don't give her compliments on this show, mate. That's a no-go.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. No, that's great. No, there's nothing better than sitting down with some cheese and some bread and just, other people try it and go, and that's really good. And it gives you a bit of self-satisfaction knowing you've done a great job. And it's just sharing in the meal. Like once the venison is all done, I'm looking forward to trying that. I really, really want that to turn out really well, because it's all about, what's the word for it? Trying to make as much as you can out of what you harvest, I suppose. So when it comes to deer, for instance, like one of the boys there, like his freezers were that full, he was jumping up and down on top of the lids. So what a terrible problem to have. But it was very nice of him to donate the venison for us to use, and we fried up a couple of patties. So that's another thing you can do, is when you make your mixture, you make yourself a couple of patties and you fry them up, and they are a bit salty because of the salt in them, but the flavor is all, then you can pretty much see what it's going to taste like when it's finished. And I made 3 patties, about 4 inches in diameter to share with the boys. And, as soon as someone got a piece of it, the whole patty was gone. So I had to go make a couple more, and they really liked them. I did too. Like that was, I'm really excited about seeing what these venison salamis turn out like.
Did very well, so congratulations on that, and I'm excited to actually go through the full process because I enjoyed the hanging part, but now I want to do the other side of it too and go from start to finish. That'd be super cool. So,
oh yeah, once you learn it, you'll never forget it. Once you learn it, and you do it every year, and the reason why you do it is to pass it down to the next generation. That's the best thing. Like my fondest memories of being young are being with my family and learning how to do all this sort of stuff in the morning. Like back then, I used to hate it because you used to wake up at the crack of dawn and you'd be yelled and screamed at all day. But now you sit back and you realize what you were taught, what you were shown, and how lucky you really were. So, and that for me that's just one part of it. Like I was also taught how to obviously make other things. Like there's the passata sauce as well. And then there's your hams, your prosciutto, your basola. You can make deer backstrap basola as well if you're so inclined to give up one of your backstraps and try. That's probably a good thing to have a go at. But there's plenty of things you can make from deer. Or if you want to try the pig, you can try wild pig as well. I haven't had the tenacity to actually have a go and try it because of the TB. But if someone said, guarantee that pig hasn't got it, then I'd probably have a go at it.
Speaking of pigs,
yes,
you've been at me to watch River Cottage for a bloody long time. And,
yes,
I'm very busy man, as you know and appreciate. So I haven't had the chance, but you'll be glad to know that the wife and I finally got around to it, and we jumped on binge and got into it. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the start of it. And I think it's just that self-sufficiency lifestyle, which is what we're sort of striving and going towards.
Yeah.
Like, we've got the veggies down pat now, and the wife does a spectacular job with the majority of those. And we've got the chickens, and my quail program's not going that well at the moment. But
we'll talk about that in a second, Matty. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, watching that and watching, he got in there and he was going through the butchering and the harvesting and all those things. And it's such a great skill. And it's such, I like the fact that he's basically started it to not buy stuff from the supermarket and have things wrapped in plastic, that he's there from woe to go sort of thing. So that's been really good. And on that, actually, a shout out to Lawson, who does Bale and Scale and Barbecue, but more on his new channel, the Wild Game on Open Flame. He's put some really good videos up lately of butchering and making jerky and all those things. So if you haven't checked it out, there's some really good gear there from him. So appreciate you getting that out there too, Lawson. Yeah, okay. The quail breeding program.
Oh. So a good friend of mine gave me some Bob White quails, and I thought I'd get a couple and I would knock a couple over. And then I thought, I've got too many here. Maddie wants some. I'll give some to Maddie. And I give. How many did you get, Matt? How many were in that box?
Oh, look, I didn't count exactly.
Oh wait, no,
15. Yes, I did count.
There was 2 boxes. That's right. There was 2 boxes. Yeah. So, how many have you got now?
Okay. Well, I mean, you're jumping ahead here, right? Like, okay, a couple of things. Firstly, I did not know quails soared like bloody eagles. That's the very first thing, right from the get-go.
Premier game animal in the United States.
Well, I've never hunted them. I've never actually watched anyone hunting them. I've never seen it on YouTube or anything. So I just sort of went, quail. I sort of thought they were just a smaller chicken.
Yeah,
I'll put my hand up for that. So I thought, then maybe a roosting sort of bird, not.
Yeah, because you're used to looking at a king quail, or I think they call them a Japanese quail as well. But
yeah. And I've honest to God, had no idea quail could fly. So that was the very first problem. So we've got this really big, large enclosure that I keep our chickens in. And I went, oh, good, the quails can go in with them. So, got up there, did the right thing, went through, made sure it was all meshed up, fenced up. We're all good, all the holes. No problem, we're good. So got these birds out. Well, I got the boxes in there and had the little fella and the wife. And so I've opened the first one and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, these things will just, I have to tip them out and they'll just pop off. It was like a bloody doves at a wedding going they just flew. The little ones started like just cheering and yelling because these things went crazy and they were flying in every direction, just went off their heads. And I'm like, bloody hell. So I let left both boxes go when they've flown and gone crazy. And then I must have missed a hole. And the wife's gone. We're watching them and they sort of broke into little packs. And they were just it was just like follow the leader.
They're called covies.
There you go. And this covey, the leader found a bloody hole. So it got through. And in the split second that my wife went, oh, it got through the hole, it has flown like kilometers away. Like it just went off, like clearing all my neighbors' houses. And we're not talking, suburbia. We're talking acreage. They're gone.
Yep.
And then all the others tried to follow. So my, shout out to my wife. She did such a great job. She jumped there and plugged it up with her hand while I sort of ran to the outside and tried to clear it up. So we only lost one on the initial release.
Right.
And then so we counted up, come back in the next day, a couple more gone. Come back in the next day, a couple more gone. And we got down to the point where there was 4. I went up there and I'm like, what the freaking hell's going on here? Cannot find a hole anywhere in this enclosure. I have no idea what's going on. And then I was up there with 4 and I could hear something and I'm like, geez, that sounds like a quail because they got a very unique little sort of chirp.
They do, a beautiful little chirp.
They do. And I look outside. There's a bloody quail on the ground outside. So I've gone, oh, here's my chance to get, one pack. I feel like I've got a bit of a win. So I've raced out. Grabbed the fishing net. So I got the fishing net because originally I tried to grab it by hand and, mate, super quick. I couldn't get it by hand. Yes. So I came pretty close, but just couldn't get it. So went and got the net, ran back in and managed to catch it and get it back in. So that was good. Right. But since then I've went and bought an enclosure and within the enclosure. So I've got double fold because I didn't realise he bloody gave me Houdini quails.
They are so those quail, that's bobwhite quail. If you have a look at pretty much any American YouTube video or hunting program on shooting quail, it's pretty much that quail is what they're hunting, is a bobwhite quail. And actually in America, when they train their GSPs or their pointers to hold point on the bird, they just hold point, and usually the hunter will come in and kick the grass because they don't move. They don't move at all. They stay pretty tight packed until you nearly step on them, and that's when they flush out. So usually they don't want the dog to flush them out because usually the dog will grab them as they come out. So the dog will just hold point, and then the hunter would go around and kick it around. Whereas in Australia, because we have quail, native quail in Australia, and that's probably another thing that for us to talk about, I suppose, is like how there's no quail season in New South Wales now. It's been removed. So in order for you to go quail hunting, you have to go down to Victoria within South Australia, which is absolutely terrible. So there is no way of you actually hunting any quail in New South Wales at all. So that used to be, I don't know when the ban was took effect, but I think it would pretty much be the same thing as, what's happening with the ducks, where there's not enough people voicing their opinion. It just goes by the wayside. So, but beside the point, you've got stubble quail and brown quail, I believe, in Victoria, and they will actually run through a paddock, and then once you get to once they've sick and tired of running, that's when they will start to take off. And sometimes they'll take off, 30 to 40 meters in front of the dog, and so you don't even have a chance to harvest them. But they're not your typical quail just running around on the ground, and they hold still. The ones in Australia, especially the native ones, as soon as they get sight of a dog or a fox, pretty much, or anything like that, they're used to taking off and getting out of the way. So, it's a shame we've lost it.
So 100% I'm with you. I'd because after seeing them go on that, I was like, oh, geez. I jumped on and started looking at quail hunting because that,
Of course you do.
struck a bit of a chord, and I was like, geez, these things move. Like I was sort of sitting there going, oh, on the ground, no, these things
Try shooting one, Matt. Try shooting
Mate,
one.
I can't even keep them. And I've been reminded of that by my wife because she just keeps going, how's your program going? Because the idea was we were going to breed them up to eat.
Yes, because that tastes great.
Yeah, so I'm a little in deficit at the moment from where we started. And the wife's loving that. I just hear about it all the time, and then
you'll hear about it more now. After she hears this, she'll definitely.
But she's doing great. She's looking after him too at the moment. I keep hearing about that I'm not even looking after him. She does it all. But thanks, Nat. You're a trooper.
Trust me.
And they're going to taste delicious. I'm
sure they will.
Just think when we get them and we get them done, they're nice on the rotisserie, bit of charcoal. Oh, they're going to be fantastic.
Get that Oporto sauce there and just put that on there over the open grill. That I can't.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, but I feel I'm a little far away from that to start thinking about eating quail just yet.
Well, luckily enough, they do lay eggs pretty proficiently, so they're pretty quick in repopulating. So that's probably one good thing on your side. To tell the truth, Matt.
Yeah, good.
But, and the fact that your wife's looking after him, so that's probably another good thing on your side. So.
Yes. Well, is it? I'm having fun with it because I keep going, how my little quail's going, and
good.
Yeah. She goes, well, there's still 5 there, so you're doing better than you did. So hey, that's a win. You got to take the small wins. That's what I always say. Take the small wins, guys.
Definitely have to take the small wins for sure. When you can get them, yes, definitely. But yeah, they at least they will supplement your meat pantry at the moment.
Yeah, no, looking forward to that. That and the chickens, they're on notice. The couple of the older ones, if they're the eggs slowed up a little bit over winter, I thought I was going to be in with a bit of fun there, and they started laying again, so they're off the hook just yet. But once that laying stops, it's game over, guys.
Funny you should mention that because chicken. I remember my dad telling me chicken was a rarity, back in the 60s and 70s, and before that, chicken was a rarity because you didn't have a lot of chickens in the backyard to go and fix up. But so you'd get an old broiler that wasn't laying anymore, and that would be your chicken soup. Is that chicken? And that's the only reason why you ate chicken is because it didn't, lay any more eggs. So therefore, you had to do something with it, and therefore you ate it. But unlike now, where you can get, obviously you get chickens dime a dozen now, but back then there was a rarity to have a chicken, and most of your meat would be, your lamb, your pork, your beef. So yeah, it's quite different how things have changed only in the last 50, 60, 70 years. Quite amazing.
It goes in cycles, doesn't it? And I'm not against it, but I sort of see there was this big uproar. People were talking about, eggs were going to be up $15 a dozen because they got rid of the sort of battery hens and whatnot too. And, I understand it's not a great life, but then I also go, geez, we've got such a massive population to be able to have the room and give them good lives and all that sort of thing. That comes at a cost. So there's that trade-off. So I'm really glad that we've got our own. And I'll tell you what, and then even just, oh my God, how much my kids eat. Like they're only 3 and the twins are 1. We had a bacon and egg breakfast the other morning and we went through a dozen.
How good is that they're eating those eggs?
Well, it's great. But I was just sitting there going, thank Christ I've got the damn eggs because if we were buying them, that's one day and they eat egg regularly. So we're lucky we're in that position that, we got quite a few chickens and we got the space to have a decent amount and get those eggs. But it's pretty crazy when you think about the cost of living and different things like that. So it's part of that journey. And that River Cottage was really good to see that. And I did have to have a giggle one of the episodes. He's teaching a vegetarian to be a butcher. She's apprentice butcher.
Oh yes, that lady. Yes.
Yeah. And then he's trying to get it back onto meat.
Yeah. He's and she does quite good actually. She actually does eat meat towards the end of it, which is quite good to see.
Well, he started pushing offal on her before anything else. And I was like, I don't know if that would have been the go-to for me if you're trying to convert someone over. I think the first one he had was liver with her. It was very optimistic.
Yes, I'll say acquired taste, but in saying that, it's if you when you first did, if you first did a pig to, do all your cold cuts and everything out to start preserving this animal, the first thing you're going to eat is, well, actually make a blood pudding is the first thing you do. And then you start with the offal. So you start with the liver, you start with the lungs, and the intestines obviously you're going to use for sausage casings, and you eat the heart and stuff like that. So that was pretty much the first meal you had from the pig was that. So yeah, it's whereas nowadays you try to give someone liver and they look at it and go, oh, I don't want that.
Well, it's so much wastage when you think about how
It
much
is.
is thrown away,
Yeah.
and no one eats really offal now. If you actually, I'd love to know the percentage, but it would be under 5% of the population eating offal.
Oh, definitely.
And it's
Definitely.
just such
Yeah.
a wasted. Yeah, it's so disappointing because you sit there and go, that's just perfectly good food that we're throwing away, or
Yeah. Well,
maybe turning into dog food or whatever it might be. But it's no good. We need to change that narrative.
yeah. I definitely need to change the narrative because you could argue that there's more nutrition in liver than there would be in a piece of meat. You could really take that argument forward.
Well, there's a couple of guys over in the States that do a lot about that. Like they live basically eating nose to tail, and they've gone a bit
Yep.
to the extreme. I think Paul Saladino might be his name. I might be wrong there, but
Right.
he basically that's all he eats is just pure meat, and he eats from nose to tail, and he doesn't eat veggies, doesn't eat any carbs, just that, and he's going super good on it. And I know that there's a
Wow.
few others that have gone down that pathway too, because the vitamins and minerals are all basically in meat. You don't need to eat veggies as well. Look, I don't know if I'd take that approach. I thoroughly enjoy vegetables as well, and I think everything in moderation. But it's an interesting sort of way they go about it, and I think I'm pretty sure he's a doctor and nutritionist as well. So it's pretty interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very interesting because if you were just to eat vegetables and only vegetables, your body would slowly start to go into some sort of shock, or you'd be in the health risk zone. But you can have everything from meat. I'm sure the marrow would be fantastic for you to have. Obviously the liver, the heart. There'd be so, and even the fry or the brain. There's plenty of fat in that too. Like that, like lamb's fry was a very very common thing back in the 60s and 70s. That's gone by the way. So no, you'll never see a lamb's fry on in a cafe that I know of anyway. I've never seen it for years.
I've seen it once. They were saying that the offal is the most highly nutritious part of the actual animal itself. We've grown up with the
Yep.
cuts of meat, but if you actually want to eat for intake of vitamins and minerals, you're better off eating the offal than you are a backstrap.
Yeah, or if you watch any documentary of predatory animals eating, another animal, the first thing they eat is the offal. They'll go for the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, liver. They'll go for that straight away because that's obviously the most nutritious part. That's the part that they're striving to get. Definitely.
Yeah, pretty cool when you think about it. So something
Yeah, no,
I need to look
100%.
into or get a guest on that knows a bit more about it and talk about just going down that path. It's pretty insane. I don't know if I could eat just meat on its own all day, every day. 4 meals a
Yeah,
day.
I like my posada sauce too much. I could not eat tomato.
Yeah.
I don't know. It must be an ethnic thing. I don't know. I just could not eat
Oh,
tomato.
I just couldn't not have veggies or something with it too. That baffles me as how you could just eat meat. Like I do love my meat, don't get me wrong, but eating it and just meat, that's pretty crazy.
It would be. I don't know how your digestive system would go either.
Apparently,
Eating all
really
that.
good. Your body just gets used to it.
Really?
Yeah, after the thing, I've heard a heap of people go on the carnivore diet and whatnot, and then it does take a little bit to work through your body and your body to get used to it. But once it does,
Yeah, right.
it's
It
fine.
works out fine. Yeah, right.
Yeah, pretty
There you
interesting
go.
stuff.
Something to read up on
That's it.
for sure.
All right, mate. I appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your salami tips for everybody. And I know it's always something I've been interested in, but not known where to start or what to do or even where to go. So the fact that you've told me Camp Pease is at Gregory Hills there, it's nice and close for me. So at least have a starting point, which is cool.
Oh, look, there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube on how to do it. You'll find that, yeah, and if you go to any butcher will he'll definitely any good butcher worth his salt will definitely help you in finding something there, some sort of resource that they can guide you to. But yeah, just have a look on YouTube and Google it, and you'll find there are 30,000 different recipes for salamis out there. So just have a look and browse and see one that you think is going to taste good, and then have a go. And then that's why the best thing you can do is just work in small batches, and then if it fails, then it's not so much of a big failure.
No, good advice, mate, and I can't wait to give it a crack next year. So, all right, Frank, these are coming back on, mate, and we'll catch up and talk again soon.
No, awesome. Cheers for that, Matty. I appreciate you having me on, and I'll looking forward to the next one.
All right, listeners, bye for now. If you have a topic, guest, question, or any gear that you want to hear about on the podcast, shoot us an email, australianhuntingandbeyond@gmail.com. Alternatively, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All the links are in the show notes. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a review and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.